Hi everyone, welcome back. These days, I spend quite a bit of time on my bike, and every rider knows that feeling the deep, low growl of the engine, the wind on your face, that raw, visceral sense of freedom and adventure as the road opens up ahead. Funny thing is, that's exactly how 2025 feels for our family. The kids are firing up their own engines, getting ready for their journeys, while my wife and I are learning how to ease off the throttle, downshift a little, and enjoy the ride into the next phase of life. Our eldest is turning 21 and halfway through university. Another is graduating from her poly diploma and about to face the job market. Our boy is heading into the army, and the youngest is sitting for her O levels. So before the year began, my wife and I thought it would be good for all of us to sit down, have a proper family meeting, and set a few things straight. And yes, I made a PowerPoint for it. Before I start sharing, I'm really curious. Has anyone here ever done something similar with your own family? Maybe a sit down talk, a shared spreadsheet, or even just an honest conversation about money and expectations. Drop me a quick note in the comments. I'd love to see how others do it. In this video, I'm going to share some of the key points from last year's deck, which tie in with some of my earlier videos and give a more holistic view of our family's financial and retirement plans. More importantly, I'd love for my viewers to chime in, whether you're single, married, with kids or without, working or retired. Share your viewpoints, insights, and reflections on your own parenting and adulting journey. I'd love to hear what you think should go into this year's edition. Before I go into the actual deck, let me first share our reasons and motivations for doing this with our kids. During our own adulting era, things were quite different. My wife had her dad pulling her aside and telling her she'll have to settle her own university fees and allowances, as that was beyond the family's finances. Thankfully, she got a PSC bursary to tide her through university. In my case, my mom just popped into my room one day and asked me to cash out one of her endowment plans to pay for my uni fees. It worked then, but we are not quite sure if this ad hoc approach fit our Gen Z kids. I think all Singaporeans can agree that the first 18 years of our lives on this little red dot tend to be very homogeneous. Primary and secondary school for about 10 years, then things start to diverge a little bit. JC or poly for some, vocational training for others, and boom! That's when the real divergence happens. The guys go army while the girls carry on their own life journeys. That's exactly what's happening for my family. And that's why my wife and I felt it was important to start everything on the right footing. If you're at this life stage too, with kids entering adulthood, or you yourself starting to plan your next phase, how are you approaching it? Do you sit down as a family to talk about expectations, or just take things as they come? I'd love to hear your thoughts below. From a life course perspective, this point in time feels quite special. All four kids are entering young adulthood, figuring out who they are, what they want, and how to stand on their own feet. At the same time, my wife and I are stepping into a different phase of our own, what Erik Erikson described as generativity versus stagnation, the stage when we start focusing less on our own achievements and more on how to guide, support, and eventually let go. Roles and identity are shifting, both theirs and ours. Our parenting now has to balance between providing support and nurturing independence. Planning early also means structuring our portfolio and allocating assets carefully to fulfill certain goals and promises. We also acknowledge the realities of sibling rivalry and that money can easily create tension. Everything is fine at the moment, but we know that family peace can be fleeting. We are not aiming for the best outcome, just hopefully prevent the worst ones. We intend for this to be an annual event on our family calendar, a chance to review, gather everyone's feedback, and shape this journey together. This PowerPoint deck, first presented in December 2024, has a strong financial focus. The main goal is to communicate, manage expectations, and to talk through major life events and the finances tied to them. Let's dive in. The first slide was very much what I just mentioned: to enhance communication and collaboration, facilitate planning, minimize misunderstanding, and set the foundation for family dynamics and finances. We told the kids that we would rather have a plan that fail on us than failing to plan. Everything rests on three pillars: equality, equity, and unconditional support and love. Equality means we value everyone the same. Equity means we recognize that everyone has different needs and circumstances. And I've got to say, credit to our education system. All four of them already understand that these two values can sometimes pull in opposite directions. And the third pillar, unconditional support and love. While we are preparing them to be independent adults, we'll always be here for them. At the very least, they will always get a listening ear and a hug if they want. We divided the discussion into three planning horizons: short term for education and jobs, medium term for housing and setting up of family, and long term for retirement. We focused mainly on finances because that's often the root of family conflict. It is quite amazing how a typical Singaporean life can be summed up in one slide. Just goes to show a lot of what we stress over are really first world problems we created ourselves. But I digress. Since their secondary school days, we have been very clear with them. Local universities only, no overseas if you don't get a scholarship. Back then, the idea was to make sure they took their studies seriously and didn't engineer a 3-year overseas vacation by purposely messing up. Overseas education is just too expensive, and the difference in course fees can be put to better use. We believe our local autonomous universities offer the best value. The goal is to gain real skills, not just gain a brand name. Anyway, with NUS and NTU scaling the uni ranking charts, this brand name premium is no longer as big a deal as 20 years ago. Postgraduate support will be on a case-by-case basis. We'll most likely cover part of the fees and offer interest-free loans for any shortfall. We will continue to give them allowances during their undergrad years so that they can focus on their studies. Freelance and part-time work will be their personal choice. Internships, travel, and overseas exchanges during this period are highly encouraged because they help expand their horizons. There will be a budget which will be reasonably generous since we are saving quite a bit by not sending anyone overseas. We tell them this quite plainly: if you are doing part-time work, allowance continues, but once you start full-time work, allowance stops. To keep things simple, we use CPF contributions as the reference point. After a 12-month holiday, each child will contribute a small symbolic amount, maybe 5 to 10%, to family maintenance. It is part of adulting and a way to keep certain values alive, like 饮水思源, think of the source when drinking water. It also sets sort of a tradition for their own children to follow if they have any. We also tell them there's a second purpose behind this, that monthly contribution isn't just for bills. It's there to support any sibling who falls on hard times. A small amount coming from your own brother and sisters is the clearest reminder and the best demonstration of what family support really means. For short-term courses, we tell them this quite clearly. If it's a course that helps you upskill, we'll sponsor it. The nice-to-have ones like driving will be on a loan basis to build ownership. We give examples: video editing, social media marketing, personal trainer certification, coding. Just go for it. The only condition is to use it meaningfully for your career and personal growth. Even things like guitar lessons are fine. If it's for teaching or a side hustle, we tell them learning is always good, nothing is frivolous. As for housing, we tell them when the time comes for them to buy their first home, we'll help with a 10% deposit pegged to the price of a 4-room BTO. The same amount for everyone, even if they choose something different. We'll also give a small cash gift for renovation, but anything beyond that will be an interest-free loan. And since we do look forward to being grandparents, we tell them there'll be cash gifts to help with hospital bills and early childcare expenses. We'll review the quantum to them in due course when the above life events really happen. As for the longer-term planning for retirement, we tell them our goal is simple. We'll provide them with a basic security blanket, a home, and a small nest egg so that each of them can take calculated risks without fear. It's consistent with our philosophy of dying with zero and our topping up of their MA and SA as shared in an earlier video. We chose this as a way of showing trust and unconditional support. We plan to stay financially independent and healthy for as long as we can, and we remind them that the softer parts matter just as much. Communicate openly, stay tolerant, and learn to forgive. Those things, more than any dollar figure, are what really hold a family together. And to end off the deck, we remind them to always hold themselves to high personal standards, nothing illegal, immoral, or unethical. We remind them to respect each other's choices, even when they disagree. And we assure them that we will be always there to support them. Nothing in this deck is cast in stone, so just talk to us. And above all, we tell them that we are proud of every one of them. This family deck is a living document, and family deck version 2026 is already in progress. I'd love for you to be part of that journey. What values and ideas would you include in your own family version? Share them in the comments below. If you found this relatable and meaningful, give it a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. Until the next time, remember, sometimes the best form of aging is just aging normally. See you in the next one.